Ethnic identity and location. The Mundari, also spelled Mandari, are a small Nilotic ethnic group living primarily in central Equatoria State, South Sudan, especially around the town of Terekeka, about 75 kilometers north of the capital, Juba. They number roughly 70,000–100,000 people, and are one of the groups that make up the broader Karo people cluster, which includes tribes such as Bari, Pojulu, Kakwa, Kuku, and Nyingwara. Language and society. The Mundari speak Kudik na Mundari, a dialect of the Bari language within the Nilotic branch of the larger Nilo-Saharan language family. Their society is traditionally agrarian and pastoral, organized into lineages and hamlets with social cohesion, reinforced through shared labor, cattle culture, and ceremonial life. Economy and daily life. Cattle are at the heart of Mundari life, not only as livestock, but as currency and social status. The Mundari herd Unkol Watusi cattle with enormous horns, and regard them as sacred and central to rituals, marriage exchanges, and identity. Cassava, sorghum, maize, groundnuts, and simsim sesame are staple crops. Culture and traditions. Cattle culture. Ownership of cattle defines wealth, social rank, and marital arrangements in Mundari society. Cows are used as bride price and play a role in rites connected to birth, marriage, and agricultural cycles. Thadi practices ritual scarification is part of the transition into adulthood. For young Mundari men, typically parallel lines on the forehead. Cattle urine and ash are used in grooming and daily life, including bathing, hair coloring, and insect repellent. Social rituals. Initiation rites for youth often involve a period of isolation with elders, where traditional knowledge and responsibilities are taught. Belief systems. The Mundari traditionally combine animistic religious practices, including belief in Gun, a supreme creator or spiritual force, and mediums that mediate between the community members and spiritual world, with growing influences from Christianity. 2. Genetics, DNA and blood types in Nilotic populations. There is no specific scientific study published on the Mundari alone regarding their unique DNA haplogroups or Abo blood type distribution. That said, the Mundari fall within the broader Nilotic peoples, a genetic cluster in East Africa with characteristic markers. Genetic ancestry. Nilotic populations show distinctive DNA patterns relative to surrounding groups, particularly in paternal Y chromosome. Markers such as haplogroup, NB lineage is common among Nilotic speakers in Sudan, South Sudan. These genetic lineages reflect ancient African ancestry with some historical admixture in broader East Africa, but overall Nilotic groups such as the Dinka, and likely the Mundari by association, tend to have distinct genetic profiles compared to Afro-Asiatic or West Eurasian groups. Blood type and anthropological genetics. A 1987 anthropological study noted distinct patterns in rhesus blood factors and hemoglobin variants among Nilotic groups in Sudan compared to non-Nilotic populations. Nilotic peoples showed lower R1 or 2, and are bands in the rhesus system, and generally low prevalence of some markers compared to other tribal groups studied. However, no specific Abo blood group distributions (ABO percentages) have been published specifically for the Mundari in peer-reviewed scientific literature. The available research applies to broader Nilotic clusters, and findings vary among individual tribes. Important. Human genetic traits such as blood group systems and haplogroups reflect population history and biology, not mythological interactions or extraterrestrial influence. 3. The Annunaki and Ska people myth versus history. What the Annunaki are historical mythological. The Annunaki are a group of deities in ancient Mesopotamian mythology, Sumerian, Akkadian, and so on. In original texts they are gods associated with heavenly realms and divine assembly, believed to influence human fate and natural order. There is no historical or archaeological evidence linking the Annunaki to African ethnic groups such as the Mundari. The idea that the Annunaki are Ska people or ancient astronauts comes largely from modern speculative authors, most notably Zecharia Sitchin, who interpreted ancient texts to suggest extraterrestrial involvement in human origins. These interpretations are not supported by mainstream historians or Assyriologists. Why Annunaki connections are not evidence-based. Sumerian Annunaki myths are embedded in early Mesopotamian religion and cosmology, not ethnic histories of East African tribes. Claims of extraterrestrial genetic mixing or influences on specific modern human groups like the Mundari derive from pseudoscience and fringe theories, not DNA evidence, archaeology, or linguistics. Modern genetic research shows human ancestry and genetics are rooted in long-term evolutionary processes on Earth, with Nilotic peoples sharing deep common ancestry with neighboring African populations, not with extraterrestrial beings. In summary, there is no credible scientific or historical basis connecting the Mundari with the Anunnaki. Thank you for being